Oil has become the world's most important source of energy since the mid-1950s. Its products underpin modern society, mainly supplying energy to the power industry, heating homes, and providing fuel for vehicles and airplanes to carry goods and people all over the world. A report by South England's oil and gas assets firm, UKOG, describes oil as the life force behind industrialization. Single-handedly, this commodity is one of the most potent economic boosters for all nations who abound in it, and a wishful thirst to the economies of those who don't. Collectively, the world boasts an estimated 1.73 trillion barrels of proven global oil reserves. Out of that, Africa holds about 125.3 billion barrels of crude oil. In 2020, Africa was producing a total of 330 metric tons of oil, at about 6.9 million barrels per day from 2019, accounting for roughly 8% of global oil output, which is possibly its lowest daily production since the start of the 21st century. As a result, increasing exploration activities in 2022 and beyond remains a priority for African hydrocarbon producers as they seek to expand production and establish the continent as an energy hub, particularly in the aftermath of Ukraine's dark days, where sanctions imposed on Russia have compelled Europe to court the possibility of engaging Africa as a potential supplier to fill the enormous void left by the Kremlin. Riding on the back of a rebound in oil prices and a heightened exploration drive, top oil producers on the face of Africa, such as Nigeria and Angola, who were producing between 25% and 30% less in 2021 and in 2019, will seek to transform their fortunes. Our video today will present the top 10 leading oil producers in Africa in terms of daily oil production based on the date from February 2022. As always, make sure to give the video a like and subscribe to our channel if you are new here. So without much further delay, here are the top 10 leading oil producers in Africa. Number 10. Chad. Crude oil production, 68,000 barrels per day. With an estimated 1 billion barrels of oil reserves, Chad is the 10th largest oil reserve holder among African countries. The majority of the country's crude is derived from the Doga Basin in the south. The country exports roughly 90% of its oil production, making petroleum Chad's primary source of revenue. The China National Petroleum Company in Chad, the ExxonMobil-led Esso Exploration and Production Chad Inc. Consortium, Glencore, and Taiwanese Chinese Petroleum Corp. all dominate Chad's oil production. Number 9. Equatorial Guinea. Crude oil production, 84,000 barrels per day. Equatorial Guinea, a small but formidable nation with over 1.1 billion barrels of oil reserves and 1.5 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, is ambitious in its plans to position itself as a leading African hydrocarbon hub. Prior to its independence, Equatorial Guinea had been heavily reliant on cocoa productions for hard currency earnings, until the discovery and exploration of oil deposits, which have resulted in a significant increase in government revenue. As a longtime participant in the oil industry, the country has had some success and was once ranked as the third largest producer of oil in sub-Saharan Africa, trailing only Angola and Nigeria. Presently, it produces approximately 84,000 barrels per day as of February 2022, decreasing from approximately 9,000 barrels per day at the beginning of the first month of 2022. Number 8. Ghana. Crude oil production, 174,000 barrels per day, with the discovery of offshore oil deposits, proven oil reserves of approximately 105 million cubic feet, and successful exploration of these deposits. The Republic of Ghana has joined the ranks of the continent's oil-producing behemoths. The nation is a relatively small producer with a current average output of 174,000 barrels per day as compared to its West African neighbor Nigeria, which presently produces 1.417 million barrels per day, and Angola with 1.175 million barrels per day. Admirably, the Ghanaian oil and gas industry has stayed afloat in spite of fluctuating international oil prices, surpassing most nations in that regard. Number 7. Gabon. Crude oil production. 197,000 barrels per day. Gabon is one of the more established hydrocarbon producers in the Gulf of Guinea, with proven oil reserves of 2.5 billion barrels. It is one of West Africa's mature oil producers, and its government derives a significant portion of its revenue from crude oil production, with petroleum and other liquids revenue accounting for approximately 4 to 5% of gross domestic product. In 2019, Gabon produced approximately 201,000 barrels per day of petroleum, yet its oil output has been declining as a result of a maturation of several fields, a lack of investment to renew production bases, and low oil prices. The industry produces approximately 197,000 barrels per day, up from an initial 183,000 barrels per day in January 2022, in line with OPEC's estimate of total global production, increasing from 0.2% to 28.6% in February compared to the previous month. Number 6. Republic of the Congo. Crude oil production, 271,000 barrels per day. After Angola, the Republic of the Congo now has the second largest crude oil reserves in Central and Southern Africa. Offshore oil and gas dominate the extractive sector in the Republic of the Congo, and the country has been able to mitigate its production decline by bringing several projects online over the past decade, including its first deepwater field Moho-Limondo. In a bid to boost exploration activities, a multi-client airborne gravity gradient survey is currently being conducted in the Cuvette Basin area. Meanwhile, Zenith Energy secured a new 25-year license at the start of the year to continue to operate the Libya oil field. Number 5. Egypt. Crude oil production, 560,000 barrels per day. Egypt is Africa's largest non-OPEC oil producer, as well as the continent's third largest producer of dry natural gas, and serves as a major transit route for oil shipped from the Persian Gulf to Europe and the United States. Its oil refining capacity is the highest in Africa, though it operates at less than full capacity. The country lacks the capacity to produce higher-end petroleum products due to its aging refineries, forcing it to rely on imports to make up the difference. Egypt produced 556,000 barrels per day in December 2021, down 0.37% from the previous month's level of 558,000 barrels per day. Nonetheless, between now and 2022, the region will invest $1 billion in new oil and gas exploration in the Western Desert, with the goal of increasing daily crude output. Number 4. Algeria. Crude oil production, 974,000 barrels per day. The oil and gas industry is the backbone of the Algerian economy, accounting for approximately 20% of GDP, 90% of the country's total export earnings, and 60% of the state budget. Algeria has the continent's second largest oil reserves and had a relatively stable rate of production of around 1.1 million barrels per day prior to the pandemic, though output has declined in recent years. The government has since resolved to increase oil and gas exploration activity in collaboration with international operators by reforming state-owned Sonatrach and enacting a new hydrocarbon law aimed at reversing declining foreign upstream investment. Oil production is now at 974,000 barrels per day. Number 3. Libya. Crude oil production, 1.107 million barrels per day. The Libyan National Oil Corporation intends to increase oil production capacity to 2.1 million barrels per day over the next few years, up from over 1.107 million barrels per day now. The country hopes to revitalize its oil and gas sector, which has suffered many setbacks in recent years due to armed conflicts and disorder, resulting in the closure of many oil and gas fields and export terminals. Libya, an OPEC member, was producing 1.6 million barrels per day before a civil war erupted in 2011, destroying its oil industry and reducing output to as little as 100,000 barrels per day last year. Number 2. Angola. Crude oil production. 1.175 million barrels per day, with 8.2 billion barrels of proven oil reserves and an estimated 13.5 trillion cubic feet of natural gas reserves. Angola is one of Africa's top hydrocarbon producers. However, Angola's oil production is declining, with the country's oil volumes falling from 1.7 million barrels per day in 2015 to just under 1.2 million barrels per day in 2021. Records from February 2022 indicate oil production to be around 1.175 million barrels per day, with production expected to fall even further to 1.1 million barrels per day in the course of the year. The government has initiated a variety of measures and policy reforms aimed at increasing exploration and resuming production. Number 1. Nigeria. Crude oil production. 1.417 million barrels per day. Taking the top spot is Africa's largest oil producer, which has been plagued by numerous operational and technical issues in recent months, and has seen production fall below 1.5 million barrels per day despite having the capacity to pump more than 2 million barrels per day. Nigeria's crude oil production had fallen to an average of 1.417 million barrels per day as of February 2022, according to the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. The January increase in crude oil production, as well as the recent surge in oil prices, should provide some relief to the Nigerian government. Although the gain may not be significant given the current subsidy regime, it should provide an incentive for the government to address operational issues at country oil facilities, as well as leakages in refined oil supply for the remainder of the year. So there you have it. Those are the top 10 leading oil producers in Africa. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to also watch the next video on your screen, which looks into the 9 most impressive oil and gas projects in Africa. As always, make sure to give our video a like and subscribe to our channel for more exciting topics about development and trends in Africa.